Hi trainers, and welcome to today's video. Wow, it's so nice of you to join me. If you are new and you've just stumbled across my channel, then my name is Heather and it's wonderful to meet you. If however you are a returning customer, then please grab a seat, make yourself comfortable. Today we are talking about Topiramate. You may remember that around this time last year, I did a video discussing this particular medication that I was on for chronic migraines. Today's video is a follow-up, so I'm going to be addressing a lot of the questions that I received in the comments, and I'm also going to be mostly focusing on my hair care routine. And the reason being is because hair loss was one of the biggest side effects that I actually had whilst on that medication. So I've been trying really hard since I've come off the medication to look after my hair and try and get some regrowth. And I thought it may be beneficial for other users of Topiramate to see what I've been doing and see what, if any, progress I've made on that. Let's crack on with the Q&A then. And although I have answered all of the questions that people have left in the comments of my previous video, I just thought it would be a good thing to go through those questions on this video, because it could be that some people haven't seen those comments, or perhaps they haven't had somewhere to ask those questions, or they're not quite sure how to go about asking those questions. Just want to put a disclaimer out there. Obviously, I'm not a medical professional. I'm only coming at this from my own personal experience with Topiramate, but hopefully someone out there will find it helpful. Joanna has asked, first of all, how long was I on that medication? And that was actually around 4 or 5 years. I'm not great with my medical history information, unfortunately. But yeah, so it was around 4 to 5 years, and I took 50 milligrams once per day. She also asked, did I actually get any migraines whilst on the medication? And actually, yes, I did. So when I first started taking Topiramate, I was put on a 25 milligram dosage. And I think about maybe a couple of months into taking that 25 milligrams, I actually had 2 migraines quite close together, and I went back to my GP, and then I was, my dose was increased to 50 milligrams. And then from the point that I was on 50 milligrams, no, I never actually had another migraine whilst on the medication. She also would like to know how long I've been off the medication, and that has been just around a year. So I think the video that I made previously, I think was published in August. But I think at that point I'd already been off the medication for maybe a month or 2. So it was definitely around a year now that I've been off the medication. Heidi very kindly asks, how am I doing now? And well, first of all, thank you for asking, Heidi. Yeah, I'm actually doing great on the migraine front. I spoke a bit in my previous video about how hard it was to actually come off that medication and deal with the side effects of kind of getting it out of my system. But since it has come out of my system, yeah, I've not had any issues at all, and I'm feeling great now. Thank you so much. A couple of people asked if I actually have had any migraines since coming off the medication, and touch wood, I actually haven't. I couldn't tell you why that is, because of course I really was suffering from chronic migraines so badly before going on the medication. It got to the point that I was scared to leave the house if I was by myself, because nobody would be around to help me if I got a migraine and to help me get back home. But I just consider myself very lucky that I haven't had any migraines since coming off the medication, and I just really hope that it stays that way. Anthony would like to know how long it took for my migraines to stop once I started the medication. And to be honest, it was so long ago that I don't really remember the specifics of that timeline. But like I said earlier, I went on at 25 milligrams. I had 2 migraines around a month or so, a month or 2 maybe into taking the medication. And then once it was increased to 50, I didn't have any additional migraines from that point onwards. So I think for me, to answer your question at least, it was around a couple of months, but that was after my medication dosage was actually changed. He also wants to know how long the initial side effects lasted whilst I was adjusting to the medication, and that I do actually remember quite clearly, because it was not a pleasant time at all. But for me, I think it was around 2 weeks. So I was really struggling with my stomach in the sense of I had no appetite, and I also, it made me feel physically sick to eat essentially. So I really remember that clearly, because I love my food, and so having to struggle for 2 weeks to even take a couple of bites out of a sandwich was, you know, it was not great for me. It was a dark time. It was a very dark time. Olivia would like to know if I had any cold-like symptoms. I think that from what I remember about the initial side effects was that I did feel very run down, and you know when you have a flu you can feel that kind of achy run down sensation. So in terms of similarities to that, I would say yes, there were some. I don't think there were any cold-like symptoms in regards to kind of you know, feeling bunged up or feeling you know, sneezy or coughy or anything. I don't really remember that, but I think definitely flu-like symptoms in regards to feeling run down, a bit achy, quite lethargic, that definitely did happen for me, yes. Jeremy would like to know if I remember when the memory issues and the speech loss started. And this one is an interesting one, and I'm sure I said it in my previous video, because I didn't realise it was a problem until it was almost too late. It definitely crept up on me, this symptom, side effect, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't until I was having conversations with people and I was just struggling to find the most basic word, and I'd have to stand there for, you know, 30 seconds, a minute, just thinking, what is the word I'm looking for? What is that word? And it would be car. You know, these weren't long words that were tricky to remember, that you needed a dictionary to translate from. It was really basic stuff. And that really, really scared me. And that actually was one of the turning points where I started to consider coming off the medication, because I was really scared of, if I continued taking the medication, what the long-term effects would be for my brain. So that definitely was something that really scared me. So to answer your question, I think it must have been around the last year that I was actually on the medication. So maybe year like 4 or 5, because it wasn't until the very end, so to speak, of that, you know, journey that I realized that it was becoming an issue. So it did take quite a while for me to get to that point. Tatum would like to know if I noticed any appetite changes when I stopped taking the medication. And this was actually one of the biggest things that I was scared of. So this medication is known for its weight loss side effect. And whilst I was on that medication, I did lose around 3 to 4 stone. And I was really scared that if I stopped taking the medication, that I would gain that weight back. Now, bear in mind that when I say that I lost that weight, it wasn't just because I was on this medication. I was changing my eating habits. I was actively going to the gym every single day. So I had a massive personal lifestyle change as well. It wasn't just that I went on this Topiramate and it was like a magic pill and all my weight dissolved. It didn't happen like that. But I was concerned that perhaps the pill had basically contributed to my weight loss, and then when I came off it, you know, I'd have like a rebound situation where I'd gain some weight back, or I would struggle to maintain my weight loss. But like I said, it's been around a year and I've actually maintained the same weight that I had when I came off the medication. Again, I just want to stress that I am still exercising, I am still eating healthily. I know that Topiramate does have a weight loss side effect, but for me, I don't think that I experienced it. I think it was actually my massive personal lifestyle change that, you know, really impacted that weight loss. In regards to the appetite changes though, no, I don't think I have really had a huge appetite change at all. If anything, yes, it may have slightly increased. I do find myself being a bit more snacky than I was when I was on Topiramate, but it hasn't been very dramatic at all, and it hasn't been, you know, a situation where I've gained all that weight back. So that I am very grateful for. Miss Niaru would like to know if my speech and memory has improved since coming off the medication, and if so, how long did that take? Yes, it definitely has improved. I think that more specifically, my speech has come on leaps and bounds. I find it a very rare instant where I will be having a conversation and struggle to find the words that I need. I think there has been a massive, massive improvement in my ability to have a conversation without blanking out for a minute trying to find a word. And my memory has always been bad, to be honest. That is just me as a person. I am quite forgetful, unfortunately, which is why I have about 30 different notepads with various different to-do lists and planners and all that kind of stuff. If I didn't have them, I would be a wreck. But yes, it has improved. Even my memory, and I think that in terms of the timeline, again, it's kind of hard for me to piece together because I feel like this came back so slowly that I didn't realize it was back until it was back. But I would say that it was at least, I noticed it maybe around 6 or 7 months coming off the medication. I remember sort of thinking to myself, well, it's been a while since I've experienced that. And then I tried to remember when the last time I experienced it was, and I couldn't really remember, so, which is ironic. But yeah, I think that it definitely has improved. I think give it, you know, 5 or 6 months that I'd say was the timeline when I noticed that I was improving massively and it wasn't an issue any longer. Those were the questions from the comments of my last video. If you have some questions about this medication, about my experience, I am so happy to answer those for you. Just leave them in the comments below. I will do my best to get to them as quickly as possible and give you as much information as possible. Like I said, just remember, I am not a doctor. I'm only speaking from my own personal experience. So just go and speak to your doctor if you actually need some medical advice, because I can't give that to you. I'm sorry. Let's talk hair care then. For me, hair loss was the biggest side effect that I had to deal with whilst on Topiramate, and it's something that I'm still battling against even now. During the last year of being on Topiramate was when I really noticed that there was an issue with my hair thinning out and even getting bald patches on the side of my head, and that, along with the speech and memory issues that I was having, really was the catalyst for me to then come off this medication. And looking at the forums that are online and the comments I've received, I know that hair loss is something that affects a lot of people that are on this medication. I just wanted to talk about the actions I've personally taken to try and combat the hair loss that I experienced, as I just hope that maybe it will help at least one of you in regards to trying to get some hair growth back. Whilst I was on Topiramate, I was also regularly dyeing my hair at salons, and I think that also contributed towards the hair damage, at least, that I was experiencing. And that all came to a head when I had one of the worst experiences of my life at a hairdresser's that I shall not name, but I will pop the picture up now so that you can see the result of that. This picture, by the way, when I tell people about the experience, they don't ever believe that it was as bad as I was saying it was until I show them that picture. And at which point they say to me, yeah, that's one of the worst things I've ever seen. So bearing in mind that this was the picture that I showed them of what I would like my hair to look like, and again, this is what I got. So it wasn't great, but because my hair had been bleached so badly at that point, it also really messed my hair up. So you can imagine that bleach damage combined with the Topiramate hair loss, my hair was a real state by the time that I actually came off the medication. If you remember, I came off the medication around this time last year when we were starting lockdown in the UK. And actually what that meant is that I haven't been to a hairdresser's in over a year now. It has got super long, but it's still not at the thickness that it was before going on Topiramate. But I have been trying to help it. Like I mentioned, I've been doing a couple of different things. I'm just going to go through those now. So the first thing that I looked into was what kind of multivitamins I could start taking to help encourage hair growth. And there's a bunch of articles and research out there that you can access. Just Google it, it's all there. And the first thing I did was buy some of these multivitamins. So the first one was folic acid. I'm also taking zinc, biotins, and also iron, but I ran out of that last night, so I don't have the bottle to show you, sorry. So I've been taking those for probably about 2 years now, and it's hard for me to say if it's had a really positive effect. I like to think it's just consistently chugging away under the surface. I'd rather take them and then not do anything than not take them and not have them in my system, because I'd rather just take the chance and hope that they are doing something. I have to say, since my hair has been growing back, since I've been off the Topiramate, that my roots now are much thicker than what they were at the beginning of lockdown. I remember there was one night when I was laying in my bed and I had my hair in a ponytail, so I was like doing it up, and I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, there is barely 4 strands in this ponytail. This is the thinnest my hair has ever felt, and it scared me so much. But actually now, when I put my hair in a ponytail, I can feel a difference. I can feel that it is thicker than what it used to be at the beginning of lockdown. And that to me is so encouraging, because whether it's the multivitamins or whether it's just the fact that I'm off the medication, there clearly has been some improvement, and that makes me so happy, because I honestly thought, I was just gonna end up with massive bald patches on my head, but luckily that hasn't happened. But yeah, I think where it's not, the hair isn't where I want it to be, but we are getting there, and I'm just hoping that as more time goes by and I get more hair growing through, that it will just hopefully get thicker and thicker as time goes on. But to be fair, even if it doesn't, it's still better than what it was at the beginning of lockdown, and I will take it. One of the other things that I've changed is the frequency of how often that I wash my hair. So because my hair is so thin, it naturally gets oily very quickly, and I'm so super paranoid about going out and having oily hair. I just think it looks so bad, and I know it's paranoia, and I know that it doesn't look as bad as I think it does, or people aren't judging me like I think they're judging me, but it got to a point where I was washing my hair literally every 2 days or so. I was so obsessed with it just looking clean all of the time. But I think, again, that was contributing towards the damage of my hair, because I was towel drying and blow drying my hair, which was drying it out. So when we hit lockdown, again, that really helped me because I wasn't actually seeing anyone. So if my hair was a bit greasy one day, it kind of didn't matter because I wasn't seeing anyone. I think that the other thing is that I don't towel dry it or blow dry it any longer. I wrap it up in a towel once I get out the bath, but then I just kind of let it dry a bit in there. And then once it's dry enough, you know, like not dripping anymore, I'll take the towel off and let it air dry it. And then that way I think that I've reduced the damage to my hair by, you know, really repeatedly drying it, you know, harshly with a towel and then blitzing it with the hair dryer. I have seen online that there is discourse about air drying your hair, blow drying your hair, towel drying your hair. It seems that there's, you know, cons to every single method. For me personally, I've just found it much better to just air dry, let it do its own thing. When it's dry enough, then I'll gently brush it out. And I actually put argan oil in the ends of my hair now so that I can, when I do brush it, the brush goes through very smoothly and the tangles drop out. So I'm not, you know, yanking at the tangles and hairs being ripped out. And again, I think that that has really benefited because actually as my hair's got longer and longer, it has been a bit trickier to wash and maintain, but the argan oil is really helpful for that. And actually that is something I would recommend for people with long hair if they are struggling to brush their hair when it's wet or, you know, after it's been wet. Argan oil is the way forward there, definitely. The other thing that I have stopped doing is dyeing my hair. I have no plans of dyeing my hair ever again. I do say that I am quite impulsive, but this is something I really need to be firm on because I have been growing out these roots now through all of lockdown. It's, you know, virgin, natural, healthy hair. I don't want to ruin that. So I really am now just sticking to my natural hair color, which is brunette. Shockingly enough, I am not a natural redhead, which is a real shame in my opinion. When I first came off the medication, I really spent a lot of money on different shampoos and conditioners that were all touting hair growth and, you know, rejuvenating your pores? Follicles, I think, right? For hair, yeah. You know, to create new hair growth, but to be honest, I didn't notice any difference. But because I love a bargain, I just went back to Superdrugs to see what they offered. Then I found this brand, it was called Hask, and it's got argan oil in it, and it's repairing shampoo and conditioner set, and it strengthens and restores. And that's what I've been using pretty much since I found it for the last maybe, I don't know, 6 months or so. I don't think it's anything super special, but it just makes my hair feel good. So it may be worth trying out at some point. But personally, I just don't think that shampoo and conditioner has any impact on your hair whatsoever, except to clean it. I don't think there's a miracle shampoo that can just make your hair grow back. But if you know of one, please tell me in the comments below because I would love to try it. I just want to show you some before and after pictures of what my hair looked like whilst I was going through the process of coming off Topiramate, what it looked like at that time and how it compares to now. Unfortunately, I don't have a huge amount of pictures from before because I was so upset about the whole situation. I didn't really want to capture it on film. So enjoy this montage that I have prepared for you. If you have any questions about hair loss on Topiramate or my current hair care routine, please, again, reach out and ask in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer as thoroughly as possible. Just remember, I am not a doctor. I cannot give medical advice. Actually, you know what? Shall we just go to the hairdressers right now? Yeah, come on, let's do it.
Hello.
Beautiful. Big cat goes brrr. There you go. Don't you just love the power of editing? Well, anyway, that's the end of my video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the hairstyle as much as I do. I have to say I am very, very pleased with it. It came out exactly as I wanted it to, and it just feels like I've had a fresh start with my hair now. It's a lot more manageable, and then hopefully it will just go from strength to strength from this point onwards. If you would be so kind enough to like this video and also subscribe to my channel, I would be forever grateful. And of course, like I said throughout the video, if you do have any questions about the Topiramate medication or my kind of process when it comes to my hair care now, please do feel free just to pop it in the comments below and I will answer you as soon as I possibly can. Make sure you have the most amazing day, stay safe, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone.